welcome back to another video. I thought today's video we could do like a little bookish get to know me type thing. I have done obviously the book tag, newbie tag, whatever it's called, on YouTube a very long time ago when I first started, but since then I have deleted all my videos, so I thought we would try again. I'm not going off the book tag, I can't remember what it's called, so book tag, newbie tag, I'm not going off that. Just purely for the fact that I couldn't find the questions. So I've sort of just come up with like some for myself, and I've asked people on Instagram to ask me a couple, just so you can get to know me a bit more, and yeah, and hopefully then I can get to know you, because obviously feel free to comment in the comment section sort of like your answers as well. But I thought we would just start off nice and easy with my top 3 favourite genres. So if you already know me, you know that my favourite author is obviously thrillers. I feel like I've been thinking a lot lately, and thriller and crime are very different. And I don't know which one I prefer out of the two, because I do like a very isolated setting in the thriller setting, but I do love a police detective story in the sort of crime realm as well. So I'm not entirely sure, but that's my top genre. And then it would probably be a shock for me to say, but it probably would be romance, and then maybe like fantasy or YA. I'm not entirely sure on those two, because they can be very hit or miss. But yeah, those are my top 3 genres. Obviously thriller just hits the spot every single time, but I do need a palette cleanser, so usually I will go to a romance after for a palette cleanser if I need it, and then it's either like a YA or fantasy. So I would say they're my top 3 genres. My favourite authors, this is going to be a difficult one. Top one, obviously, all day long, Claire Douglas. I have about 3 of her books that I haven't read, which I am going to make a video on, me reading those books. But yeah, she's definitely my favourite author. And then after that, I honestly don't know, because I don't know what authors I've read a lot of that would constitute kind of a favourite. I mean, just looking on my bookshelves. Oh, Liz Tomford. Obviously, she is I wouldn't say she's a favourite author, but I definitely love, obviously, the Windy City series, so I think she's definitely like someone that I would gravitate towards, but I don't know if I would class it as a favourite just yet, because I don't know what else she could write outside of the Windy City series. I might not like the rest of her books. Who else? Jessica Huntley. I do love all her books. She's sort of an indie author, but she has been published recently with Joff Books as well, which is very exciting for her. So I've read quite a lot of her books, but at the moment she is bringing them all out that I can read, like, and I need to catch up with them because I can't read the speed that she's bringing them out. So I've got a backlist, and she is also going to be another author that I will be doing a video on, of like catching up and reading some more of their books. So look out for hers and Claire Douglas's videos of books that I'll be reading by them. But any other ones, I'm genuinely not sure. There's authors that I obviously really like. Riley Sager I really like, but I've only read 2 of his books, so I can't really comment and say if he's a favourite author yet or not. So I'll probably go for like Claire Douglas and Jessica Huntley and Liz Tomford as like sort of my main ones, rather than just go for like random people whose books that I like. So yeah, they're probably like my top 3. This is my favourite books that I would recommend. Oh, I've got to really think. I mean, there's 3 that aren't here, and that is the Silver Pines series by Paisley Hope. They are cowboy romances. So you've got Holding the Reins, Training the Heart, and Reining It In, I think it's called, or Rein It In. I'll put it on screen, whatever the last one's called. But Training the Heart, the second one, is my absolute favourite in that series. I absolutely love it. Gives more the cowboy vibes, because he is actually like doing cowboy stuff in that one, whereas the other ones, they live on the ranch in a family, but their professions aren't just cowboys. So definitely that one. Obviously, like I said, the Mile High series. I find it hard to choose a book out of that one that is my favourite, because Mile High I loved, but then I love The Right Move that little bit more, and then I love Caught Up that little bit more. So currently Caught Up is my favourite in that series, but I do have 2 more to read, so that could change. Other favourite books. I've got Legendary on my shelf, but I don't have Caravel anymore. Unfortunately, like when obviously I moved, I had to get rid of a lot of books, so I had to really think about what favourite books I wanted to keep and what sort of had to go. So Caravel was one of them, but I would class that as one of my favourite books. The same as The House in the Caroline Sea. I really loved that one as well. I just don't have a copy of it anymore. Riley Sager's The Only One Left, I would probably say is one of my favourite ones. These are sort of all ones that I would recommend. There's not many, it's mainly thriller ones that I recommend obviously, because there's not many like fantasy or romance that I read that I could recommend apart from the ones that I've said. So it's quite hard. If I think of any more that I would recommend, then I'll pop them on screen, but if I don't, then that's probably it that I usually tend to gravitate towards when people ask for book recommendations. But yeah, there's a fair few there. Now for some books I haven't enjoyed. Honestly, out of my shelves, I will say that a couple of them I have soft DNF'd. So I soft DNF'd Beartown. Didn't not enjoy it, but I just feel like it wasn't the right time for me to read. I don't know if I've soft DNF'd any other ones on my shelf, but some books that I don't really like is The Song of Achilles. I wasn't a fan of that one, so I did get rid of that one. I wasn't a fan of Magnolia Parks, did not like that one at all. That was like maybe a 2-star or something for me, I don't know. I couldn't gel with it, like the characters were way too problematic for my liking. I'm looking on my shelf as though like I would keep books that I don't like, but I'm trying to get inspiration from if I've read a book by an author that I've not enjoyed. I tend not to like not like books, it's more I'm not vibing with it at that moment in time, so I probably won't read it. But I would definitely say The Song of Achilles and unfortunately, and also what was the other one I said? Magnolia Parks. They are ones that I probably wouldn't recommend to people and don't necessarily like, unfortunately. And then just a couple of like, I guess quickfire ones, so like would I DNF or power through? Honestly, if I'm not enjoying a book, I will DNF it. I used to be really scared of DNFing books because for some reason I thought that like the author would absolutely come for me. But recently, no, if I've not been enjoying a book, I will DNF it. And I don't tell people that I DNF books because I don't put it on. Like I don't put on that I've DNF'd a book on my review or anything because I just think what's the point, it's not going to help anyone. But yes, I will. I tend to read at least 100 pages before I DNF a book. If I'm softly DNFing a book like Beartown or Hidden Pictures for example, like I have done recently, then I'll tend to soft DNF it before 100 pages, but that's because I know that I'm definitely going back to it. So yeah. What got me into reading again? I feel like just the same answer as probably most people is lockdown. So obviously lockdown, everyone knows, was like a very boring time, especially if you weren't one of those people that could go out to work. I was furloughed, so I couldn't go out to work for a very long time, so I needed to do something rather than just sit wasting my days watching telly. Honestly, lockdown was like, yeah, my sleeping pattern was out of whack, just my whole routine was out of whack. So that is when I started getting into reading a bit more, and I started off with thrillers, which I feel like that kind of solidified my love for thrillers. I feel like if I'd started off reading romance and getting into reading again by reading romance, that primarily might be my top genre, or fantasy for example, if I decided that might primarily be my top genre. But yeah, it was thrillers that I started off with. I think it was Jane Casey actually. It might have been Jane Casey or it might have been Angela Marson's. No, it was Angela Marson's. That was one of the first books that I read in lockdown, and that really got me back into reading because that was very detective-y, fast-paced thriller, crime. So yeah, lockdown, basic answer. Books I loved as a kid. The generic ones. Jacqueline Wilson. I loved and adored Jacqueline Wilson. That's who I grew up on. That's who I will always have adored as a child. I didn't really read much else. I read like the Horrid Henry books and Diary of a Wimpkin and things like that. Some of like the Rainbow Fairy books kind of, but none of them shone a light to Jacqueline Wilson. Although there was one book and I can't remember anything about it, and it frustrates me every time I try and think about it, because if I could read that again, I probably would. I was the type of kid that would read a book and then as soon as I finish it, I'd start it again straight away. Wouldn't even think about having a break or anything. I'd finish the book and then I'd go back to the first page and I'd start it again, especially on long car journeys. And this was one of those books and I can't for life remember what it was about or what it was called. And yeah, it frustrates me, but definitely just Jacqueline Wilson, and then with a few Howard Henry and Diary of a Wimpy Kid books thrown in. But yeah, obviously the very famous dress speaker got me into reading, and the Girls in Love series, which I still need to read to think again, but I'm a bit scared for it. Is it on my shelf? I don't know if it's on, I think it is on my shelf. I might have, yeah, it's there. Don't know if you can see that, but it's there. Yeah, so Jacqueline Wilson. Then kind of the last one that I've sort of got to say is, what book character do you connect with? This is a difficult one. I feel like I've not had time to process this question. I've not really had time to think about it. What book character do I connect with? I honestly don't know. Maybe, let me have a think. I'll be back. Right, I've had a little think and I think maybe Ivy from the Silver Pine Science Train in the Heart. I'm only choosing her because she's very much cowgirly, into the cowboys, like wants to live on a ranch, thingies, looks after the horses, things like that, and that's what I would just really love to do with life. Is I would love to just live on a ranch, look after horses, and like live out a full cowgirl era. Unfortunately I can't do that. Well, I could, but I won't. But yeah, I'll probably say I connect more with her. Like in the book, she was very hard to open up at first, but she's very lovable, and I feel like that is kind of like me. Like I do take a while to gel to people and open up to people, but when I do, I am very like sort of like will give everything. So yeah, I think her maybe. Yeah, Ivy Spencer. So that's like kind of all the bookish get to know me questions that I sort of like went through and asked and things. There wasn't many there, but it's fine. I probably rambled on for too long anyways. I thought just at the end it might be fun because I did ask on my Instagram as well for like some unpopular book opinions. So I thought I'd just go through. There's only a couple to go through and then I'll probably say like a couple of mine. But I don't mind if I crack a spine. I tend to try not to, but it's not as big of an issue as maybe it used to be. If I crack a spine, like I'm not actually that bothered right now in this time of my life if I crack a book spine, but I won't tend to try and do it on purpose. If it happens, it happens. I'm not bothered because I'm not just gonna pick up a book and read it like that. That probably looked really silly, but I think hopefully you get the gist of what I meant. But yeah, I honestly don't really mind, to be fair. I used to be very anti book spine. I feel like the only time you shouldn't purposely break a book spine is if it's someone else's book, because I feel like that would be very rude. But if it's your own book, you do what you like. The next one that I got that I feel could be a little controversial to some people is A Little Life is not a good book. It's just gratuitous. Gratuitous? Is that how you say that word? I don't know. I haven't read it. I have not read A Little Life. I might be one of those small minor groups that haven't read A Little Life. I don't know if I tend to want to really. I have only heard really good things about it, obviously, apart from this comment. But I feel like with like popular books, either some people jump on the bandwagon and think they like it because everyone else does, or you know, you're happy to just turn around and say you don't, but then people just come for you if you say you don't like a book. Like, they will actually come for you. But yeah, I mean, fair enough. If you don't like a book, that is completely fair, and I can't really comment because I haven't read it, but I feel like it could be like that. It could be the type of book that is like that, or it could not be. I guess I'll never find out if I don't read it, but it's a big book, so I don't really know. Oh, actually, one book I would recommend, this is going back ages. One book I would recommend is 11/22/63 by Stephen King. I loved that book, and I will probably read it again. Not anytime soon because it was a big book, but I will probably read it again. One book that I do want to read by him, because we went to cinemas last night. I'm going off track, but went to cinemas last night to watch The Long Walk, and I really want to read the book after watching that film because I'm still processing my feelings and how I feel about it. But anyways, back to the video. Okay, so this is like the last one that someone sent in, is Throne of Glass series is too slow going. Could have been 2 books shorter and just as good. I haven't read that either. I do have it on my shelf. I feel like this is just me judging before I've read it, but I feel like this person could be right, because I know books, is it 6 and 7 or whatever books near the end, you can tandem read, and I just feel like, what is the point? I'm saying this because I've not read it, but in my head I'm thinking, what is the point of tandem reading the book when you could just read the book? Like, if both books are so similar that you read one chapter from one book and like 3 chapters from another, why can't you just make one book out of it? Like, you know, people are still going to read it in a series, because like, she writes 800-page books anyway, people still read them, they won't care. So I feel like I could potentially agree with this comment, but again, I haven't read it, so I honestly don't know sort of what the vibe is like and if it could have been shorter. But going off based on the fact that you can tandem read a book, I'm gonna guess you probably can have it shorter, but you know, some people like to do that. So yeah, that was all the ones that I got asked. I'll just sort of go through a couple of things that I don't necessarily do when it comes to reading books. I don't know if they're like very unpopular or not, but hey ho. I don't dog ear the pages. I will not dog ear the pages. I will find a bookmark, or I'll find anything that fits in the book. I won't dog ear a page. I tend to try and only read one book at a time. It's not working out that way at the moment because I am reading 2 and listening to 1, so that's not going well. But yeah, I tend to try and only read one book at a time. I don't really know. I personally don't really go for hyped books. Like, Fourth Wing I still haven't read. I mean, I tried it, I got 50 pages in and then softly DNF'd it. I just feel like it was too hyped up. A Language of Dragons, which is similar to Fourth Wing, I'm going to say, even though I've not read it, was very good. 5-star read, so I would recommend that one too. I'm just throwing in recommendations here and there as I come up with them in my head. But yeah, popular books I tend to stay away from, but that's because, like I've said, people get very touchy when you don't like the book that they like. And if you were to say you didn't like a popular book, I mean, I said I didn't like Magnolia Parks and The Song of Achilles, so, but people just really take it to heart, I feel like. So it's just one of those things, like, it can't be helped. But yeah, so I tend to stay away from popular books. I will read them eventually, I just tend not to read them as they're coming out unless I really want to, and unless I'm really intrigued by it. But otherwise I just tend to stick to my sort of books that don't make the headlines every day. Most of the books on my shelf, like, a lot of them probably haven't really been heard of that much. But yeah, I would probably say that's the most of my unpopular ones, just because I tend not to really think about if things are popular or unpopular, or what other people are doing with their reading, because I just bother about my own, really. But yeah, that was my bookish get to know me. Sorry I've rambled on a little bit, but it's a chatty video, it's fine. I will get back to the reading challenges soon. I'm just sort of like trying to prepare myself to read a book by a certain point and then talk about it and then upload it and stuff. So I will be getting back to the challenges very soon. It'll probably be early October now because it's coming to the end of September. So but yeah, they will be coming in October. I've got some very exciting ones, but obviously I need to read the books quite far in advance for them, so then I'm not like rushing through the books and I can actually give you my proper thoughts on them. But yeah, thank you very much if you made it to the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time for a new video. Bye.